Welcome back, episode 40. Oh, snap. I'm actually lost. 44. 44. Yep, 44. We've been talking about it for a while. Finally doing the Totally Not Mark video, because he just put it up today, so we're doing it today.
Go time. Go time.
We did not like the Chimera Ant Arc.
Kind of, sort of, at all. It's kind of weird how much because I'm like, that's one of the worst arcs in anything I've ever read. It's just
really slow plotting and kind of boring.
It's quite boring, and it thinks it's saying something with the human dilemma thing when it's really not, because we're forcing characters to act like this, and it's just so it's so forced that it doesn't make it good. Anybody could just go, yeah, now Gone is acting like a horrible homicidal maniac. The I'm gonna kill this little girl is the thing that's just like, well, this is just over.
Yeah,
and
shut
people
that
just
girl
go
up or I'll kill her.
And people are just like, well, that's the point. I was like, okay, so it's the point that I don't like him and I don't like him. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
it lowers my enjoyment because the main character I don't like and he's acting irrationally. Yes, we both agree apparently.
There's not a lot to say about this.
I've actually not seen any of his other videos fully, his other the Hunter x Hunter videos fully, so I don't know what kind of, I've just seen bits and pieces just sort of get a flavor of what he's thinking. But I can't just sit there and watch a Mark video, especially a Hunter x Hunter Mark video by myself. For what? No. So I'm very curious about how his arguments are gonna go and all this.
Terribly.
Well, obviously, but you know, the structure and how much he just goes awesome and amazing and the best and crap like that.
Alright, okay, I can now see why so many of you have been excited for me to get to this arc. This is, without question, the strongest arc of Hunter x Hunter, and one that left me with my jaw on the floor.
Unsurprising. Of course he has to love it. Of course he does. This is very unsurprising. This is going down the path of just like, yep, here it is. The last arc was the best. When everything is the best, you saying that the best means basically nothing. You're just going, it's the best. And you so much so that you've made a joke about it. You gotta find a thesaurus or something to just go, instead of just going, this is the best, this is the best. You're 2 arcs in and going, this is the best arc. Well, you got what you got to compare it to?
I wouldn't say he needs a thesaurus. He needs to learn how to evaluate a series without just jaw dropping and it's the best thing ever. Just like, this is a really good arc. It's the best so far. Even that, because every arc is just like the best so far, and that's a problem.
It's the problem. So
unless it's so markedly not the best, like Greed Island, everything's just gonna be it's the best.
And that just goes around in a circle, and at what point do you just go, all right, we got it?
A number of times. Every series has their iconic moments. Dragon Ball.
What could you possibly say here?
I guess nothing. Iconic means less and less every day.
Every series has their iconic moments. Are you talking about within the series it's an iconic moment?
Yes.
Or iconic all around? Because even then,
series has their iconic moments. Dragon Ball had Goku versus Frieza. One Piece has Shabao the Archipelago. And
was that iconic?
First off, that's not really an iconic part of the series. Second off, that's not how you say that name. It's not Shabadi. It's Sabaody.
It's a weird one.
Yeah.
But why?
But they say it multiple times in the series.
My issue is, this is edited by somebody else. Why would they show the Mad Monk Rouge versus just some bum pacifista as the most iconic? I'm going to say iconic moment in One Piece. I'm not going to say I Want to Live. I'm not going to say as the Straw Hat Pirates are sent away. I'm going to show the Mad Monk Rouge. Dude,
not Luffy help me?
Nothing. And you just said Sabaody. And that's it. And showing the Mad Monk.
And the entirety of Goku versus Frieza is iconic.
Give notes to your editor so things like this don't happen, because that just seems bad.
One Piece has Shivaldi Archipelago, and Hunter x Hunter, I now realize, has this. In this video, the material I'll be covering is both thoughtfully composed to highlight the series' greatest strengths, while also single-handedly executing upon long built-up, previously established plot points and overarching themes, creating something unlike anything I've ever seen from a manga.
Oh my...
What? Hold on, what?
Overarching themes, creating something unlike anything I've ever seen from a manga.
Chimera Ants is not as special as y'all think it is.
Absolutely not.
It is just another arc.
It's dark, and it's got them themes, so people who have only seen Dragon Ball and 6 other things, and they're like all over the wall. And it's like
sploosh, sploosh, sploosh.
And it's like, dude, we got it. What are we doing here? We understand it is dark. We understand the humans versus what it means, blah, blah, blah. He's already doing this!
Producing character writing that feels so incredibly brutal and honest that I honestly couldn't help but shed a tear for all those involved. And this is only the first 33 or so chapters. However, while this arc gripped me like none other before it, it also filled me with tremendous sadness the moment I began my journey through its opening pages. And I'm not talking about the story. This is an arc I'm sure you've all been waiting for me to cover, and I am so thrilled to say that thus far, I've loved it. So let's dive headfirst into this creepy, unsettling, and existential nightmare that is Hunter x Hunter's Chimera Ants Arc.
It stinks. It stinks.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Things, it made me feel like no other thing ever. Stop, just stop.
If it's okay with you guys, I sort of want to kick off this video with a somber and rather serious subject. As I've already mentioned in the opening, this week's material brought to light something that deeply saddened me. In part due to the pervasive despair that coats the pages of its narrative, but also due to one undeniable issue lingering in the background of indeed this arc and the entire series.
Pause. If you're gonna do this, why would you have an ad in this video? If you're gonna go, let's pull it down to get to talk about the Arthur and the hardships of manga and writing and the death of the mangaka of Berserk, which I know that that's where you're going. Why would you also have an ad in this video?
Yeah, this should have definitely been separated. This should have been like, I want to talk about the problems of mangaka. There's no going to be no ads. There's nothing. But you're basically profiting off of, which a lot of creators do.
Yes.
But I've never been a fan of that type of stuff.
It seems very skeezy. Cut it out. Make it its own separate video or don't have the ad.
Oh yeah, by the way, did I mention that the beginning of this arc is incredibly weird and sort of cheesy? As mentioned above, the arc is filled with really interesting and beautiful imagery, yes, and while the start of this arc is no different, it is set apart almost immediately from the other arcs in this series. Between every story so far, the Hunter Exams, the Family arc, the Heaven's Arena arc, the York New and Greed Island arcs, Hunter x Hunter has almost made it its life's mission to tie every single arc seamlessly together, allowing for the story to naturally flow into the next. However, the Chimera Ants Arc does not do this, or at least it doesn't as much as the others, and as a result of that, for the first few chapters of this arc, I was really worried that this highly praised arc was going to be disappointing. Spoilers, it wasn't.
And would that be all that it took for it to be disappointing, for it not to tie back into other things?
It sounds like that. It sounds like he would be disappointed that this one is more disconnected from the rest. Sort of like how people feel that part 5 isn't as good as the rest because it's like its own little thing on the side that you can basically skip.
But if he's reading this and just going, oh man, people are saying this looks like it's not connected outside of anything else that's going on, the themes, the characters, blah, blah, blah. So, and therefore it may not be as good as everything else. It's a very odd way of critiquing something.
It's going to be disappointing. Spoilers, it wasn't. Largely, the beginning portion of the story looks as though it was shot like one of those cheesy old-timey monster movies from the 30s and 40s, complete with authentic giant chimera ant bug monster. One of the biggest...
Yeah, that's what it was shot like. Why are you trying to employ this grandiose stuff to this when it's just a giant monster in shadow?
Yes.
And then it's bugs underground.
It's basically nothing.
It's just a thing.
Ant bug monster. One of the biggest revelations at this time was that of this character, the Chimera Ant Monster. While unique, it didn't strike me initially as being designed to emote in any meaningful way, and if I'm being honest, unlike the driving forces behind many of the prior arcs, we didn't have a tie to this arc's antagonist in any meaningful way, or at least not in a way that we were aware of, which I think largely contributed to this arc's slow start for me predominantly. But that's not even to say that its weakest part didn't have amazing and touching moments. Establishing a character's defining actions like a young boy trying to defend his little sister from this Chimera Ant Monster helped to establish the antagonistic force of the story as well as set the tone for the coming conflict. Now,
it's very manipulative to have the first thing that is eaten be a little child trying to protect his little sister. And in the anime, they spend like a couple minutes with them, showing the family life with the mom and all that stuff, just so you can get that feel. Couldn't be an adult, had to be a kid. Had to be brutal. Had to be a kid protecting his little sister. It's shorthand. It's lazy. It's not very good.
Story as well as set the tone for the coming conflict. Now, this introduction was fine, but compared to the other arcs, it felt lukewarm, and the last thing I wanted was to watch a story waste Kite's reintroduction to the series, seeing how hyped I was having just finished Greed Island. And for those of you who haven't seen or read this arc, in short, it might sound like the antagonistic and protagonistic forces have nothing to do with each other, and in a way, you're right. Gun and Killua are just after teaming up with Kite and his crew as they engage in ecological activity. All the while, on the other side of the world, the Chimera Ant Queen slowly begins to kill animals and eventually people, trying to grow her family with the goal of one day, in the not so distant future, of giving birth to the Chimera Ant King. And that's the beginning of this arc in a nutshell, really. One plotline that, while cute, doesn't have any particular direction, and another that feels like a run-of-the-mill monster movie. Both fine, yes, but not at all connected.
Run-of-the-mill monster movie? What monster movie are you drawing from that looks something like this?
Yeah, that's a very odd criticism.
Not criticism, but analysis.
Yeah.
Run-of-the-mill monster movie.
People getting attacked and stolen from their homes. Yeah, I got nothing. What is he talking about?
Like, this right here feels very Jeepers Creeper-ish, but that's not a run-of-the-mill monster movie.
A run-of-the-mill monster movie. Both fine, yes, but not at all connected. However, that doesn't last, and what comes next is the absolute best or most raw material I've yet seen produced by Hunter x Hunter.
We just need a counter of just how many times he says the most or
this is where the business of the story kicks off, and boy, does it never stop. The action in this portion of the story is the strongest in the entire series, and I'm speaking from a manga perspective here. People can give the initially released sketches all the grief they want in the world, but at the end of the day, the finished manga speaks for itself, because once Kite and the team are enlisted into the NGL zone to investigate the infestation of Chimera ants, the scenarios and encounters they experience, the deeper they go into the sinister wilderness, the more visually stunning the manga looks, and the more intense the story becomes.
Visuals! We got it.
It's really
the visuals
pretty.
look fine. We got it. It's established. You had that whole little thing. No, you need to just stop talking about the visuals and what exactly is going on. Because they're just fighting these two things. We don't know the strength of these two things. We don't know why we should be threatened by them. We don't know if they can be taken down by a punch or beheaded and regenerate.
looks and the more intense the story becomes. There's honestly a terrific horror element to this story that, while it began in a much less refined or savory way, evolved, much like the monsters themselves, into a more sophisticated product. I'm always thrilled when a manga can do something creative with its paneling, and Togashi employed a simple but brilliant choice to Killua's battle in the forest of the NGL zone alongside Kite and Gon. After being stung by this scorpion chimera, there's a moment where we think Killua could conceivably be in trouble. There's some quick panels to establish her point of view, and then this legitimately got me. I was so taken aback by how Togashi perfectly played with my anticipation to achieve what he did here. Regular or standard
What even was this? We think Killua's down, the ant turns back, and then it's upside down because the ant is dead because Killua's not hurt.
Yeah, who cares? It's fine. It's nothing noteworthy. Look back at like the Dark Knight, not the Dark Knight, the Killing Joke, where Barbara just opens the door and it's just bam, the next page.
Barbara.
What did I say?
Barbie.
Barbie. Did I say Barbie?
Yes.
Cut that out. Let's get a clean Barbara. There you go. Put that in there.
Yeah.
Splice it. I trust you.
I don't.
Yes, it's fine. It's more.
Play with your expectations of what? Because he did it in a quick and quote-unquote shocking way, as opposed to seeing Killua slowly get up and try to regroup. And yeah, I don't.
Yeah, for me, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's cool. He's not really talked about the story in any significant way so far. He's just talking.
He's talked about what the monsters did, what Killua did, and what Togashi did.
And this legitimately got me. I was so taken aback by how Togashi perfectly played with my anticipation to achieve what he did here. Regular or standard paneling is fine, but such a great and thoughtful use of the manga medium that helped drag me into this story all the more. And fittingly, this plays into the greater mission of this portion of the narrative, to tell a heart-wrenching and compelling story centered around Gon and Killua. And thankfully, this is helped in part by the surprisingly warm and engaging character of Kite. Personally, at the beginning of this, I was very worried that he would fall to the wayside and feel like a one-note character, but Togashi made sure to add plenty of depth and texture to his character.
Within stories that are even semi-competent, how many one-note characters are there?
Seriously.
Because I hear a lot of complaints about one-note characters, but I see so few of them. So why do y'all worry about this if y'all don't even see enough examples of it?
And he's praising Kite for being established and developed. This is a character that we saw in the first chapter. We know that he's going to be important, and he's a character in a fiction. So of course he's going to be all of this. So it's not worthy of praise. Why were you worried about him, quote unquote, maybe not being developed or one note?
What? How about this? Was the development good? That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear that he was developed. I want to hear what you thought about the development itself.
I want to hear what in Hunter x Hunter made him think that anybody can be one note or underdeveloped if they're important enough. Because this is a seasoned hunter that knows Gon's father and taught him a very important life lesson when he was young. Why are we surprised when he's developed? Why is this something praiseworthy? This is just something that is.
What manga hasn't done it? To where you're going, this should be worthy of praise, because that over there doesn't do it.
But Togashi...
It's to be expected at this point.
He's coming from Dragon Ball, and Yamcha's just some dude. End of the day, we don't know anything about him. We know some about Tien and everybody, but Yamcha just shows up. We don't know why he's a desert bandit or anything.
The wayside and feel like a one-note character, but Togashi made sure to add plenty of depth and texture to his character. Whether it be through his position as a mentor to the two boys, or peeks into his mind as he thinks about how amazing they really are, and we even see that he has some comedic elements that didn't contradict or come at the cost of any of his more serious traits. Additionally, and this is...
Okay, the first 2 points. were nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
He's a mentor to the boy. How is that depth? He sees in his mind that they're really amazing. How is that depth?
When they are. When they were before they learned Nin.
That's literally every character except the mentor stuff. They're always like going to Killua. Whoa,
yeah. Going all the way back to the tower arc where they just go, oh yeah, little kid, he's a 1 in 1,000 talent. Really, really good. But they're 1 in a million. Without even really learning Nin. Now they got trained by the dude that trained them to learn Nin. And in a game world specifically designed to cultivate Gon's Nin. So of course he's gonna be good. Plus he knows that it's the Zoldyck family, a family of well-known and trained assassins, and your friend's son. Why is this any surprise? And then also the comedy thing? What?
I'll accept that.
I don't.
He's a serious dude and he's got some comedy stuff.
What? And it doesn't affect his character, his serious character.
Yeah, because Jinbei's shock mouth affects his serious
outside
character.
of him, because Jinbei big trash, it can be done quite well various places.
Yeah.
And it's nothing, again, I don't think this is worthy of
But at least I will accept that adds depth to a serious character. I will accept that. That whole, he sees that they're amazing in his mind, that adds zero.
Well, he's got to say something about Kite because he's fairly nothing throughout this. Especially he's going through 33 chapters. What is he? He's just some dude.
Where this scene impressed me the most early on, it made full use of Kite's character in the same breath as the Chimera Ants. So something I've neglected to mention thus far was how much characterization and time Togashi granted these dangerous monsters to humanity. So much so that through the process of getting to know them, I actually started to respect and like some of the ants, with one character in particular acting as a great grey area for us, not necessarily...
Liking villains. Villains having characterization. Big wow. Do we have to keep listing off stuff that does and does it very well?
This simp ant just loving the queen.
It's nothing.
He just wanted the queen's health and everything.
Yeah.
He didn't care about the kid. He cared about the queen. And the queen cared about the kid, so he cared about the kid.
I see nothing. Again, he's not saying anything that is special so far because he opened this up with crap like... This, I've never read anything like this before. All of his
and he's only 33 chapters in.
And he's only 33 chapters in, and he's not said anything. The mentor figure has depth. Big wow. The villains, I have characterizations, and I care about some of them. You've read One Piece. You telling me we don't care about Katakuri, Big Mom? Sympathizing for them, things like that. Understanding their plights. This is nothing. This
is not special yet.
I'm thinking we're in Mother's Basement territory where he's just like, I gotta praise this. The villains, I care about the villains.
But the question is, did he do all of the rest of Hunter x Hunter like this? And is this just the way he characterized things? Because I've never seen his One Piece review. Yeah. But is it just the way he looks at things?
Maybe he's just bad. Maybe that's what it is. Cause maybe we need to maybe not on
revisit it. No.
Revisit it. Maybe separately watch one of his One Piece arc reviews just to see how he talks about things. Because he's just, I care about the villains. Yeah, what? You got your war villains like your Nappas, and then you got the villains that you know and care about and sympathize with, like your Boo. This is nothing.
For us, not necessarily due to what he does or what he says, but where we know those words are coming from. This is clearly a Chimera Ant that possesses the mentality or personality of that protective older brother killed in the previous scenes, and as this ant is contrasted with the rest of the chimeras he's in company with, that otherwise were made up of criminals that met a similar fate, it helps to highlight thematically a rather strong message of this arc.
Pause. What about just the bums that were just bums? We saw a bunch of people getting carried away. They were just people.
Yeah.
What about villages that were just wholesale eaten? We see so few just I don't want to kill all humans or like noble ants. That just the criminal ones have enough ambition to fight and gain strong nin, things like that.
Autonomy through the ants where they retain some of their personality trait. So that kid was strong enough willed, but the other, or I guess that kid is that kid the ant or not the ant? Is that what he said?
The kid is the ant, yes.
Okay, so that kid had strong enough will
that it carries on through,
completely overtaking, I guess, the ant's inherent nature to kill and be bad, because when the knights and the king are born, they're just inherently bad.
Yes.
So, I guess it overtakes his inherent badness, this kid, but these regular people can't? Why are there not more gray area and or good ants?
And we got one that dumb chimera, not chimera,
pink one,
not chimera. What's his email? The chimera, chameleon, man. Yeah, the one chameleon that was just like, yeah, that penguin was my father, and when I was human, and I'm mad at them for killing them. Not mad at anything like we shouldn't be killing and eating humans because I remember my past self. No, just the fact that he killed my father, and thus I'm gonna help you.
Not what they look like that defines who they are, it's what they do with that power. And given what later happens in this arc, I'm wondering what sort of mirror this philosophy will hold up to the main cast if they are forced to act upon morally ambiguous impulses. And now with both...
Why are you foreshadowing this with your blind review?
That is very weird for him to be doing that.
And he's like, I wonder if... Come on, you know.
That's very weird.
And now, with both sides of the conflict thoroughly explored with their nuances expressed, we are greeted by...
No, wait a second. When did we explore nuances? Did we...
I guess the gray area of the ants and the potential...
the one ant.
Of the ant and then the potential dark side of a hero.
He didn't talk about... Pito or even the Ant Queen going, I must birth my king no matter what, and she's dying, and what did he say for nuances?
Explored with their nuances expressed, we are greeted by one of the most surprising and shocking scenes I've ever read in my life.
See, another ever the most. How?
Okay. You were shocked by the Killua thing, and then you're shocked by this as well.
It's just a manga just full of shocking things that he's never seen in his life, and thus...
Didn't you just see Orochi die?
Just with zero comeuppance, he absolutely did.
So what do we...
He didn't even talk about the birth of Pito or... He hasn't showed Shower Poof yet. Shower Poof has not been on the screen, and we're talking about Kite's death. He didn't talk about the birth of the three guards and how they protect the king and their missions and the ants gaining nin.
Oh yeah, he skipped over the whole nin section. There was a lot not shown here. Okay, maybe he's gonna double back to it.
But he goes, now that we got all the nuances and character stuff out of the way.
Okay, that's nuance and character. So he's going, this is the shocking moment. And maybe he's going, the whole series is full, the whole arc is full of shocking moments like this, like Killua thing. And there's more to come. And he's going to double back to the Nin and all this, the Ant King.
I don't trust
maybe when the Ant King comes, he'll be like, these are the knights. And what happened is they were birthed and blah, blah, blah. Maybe he'll circle back to it.
I don't trust him. I don't...
Surprising and shocking scenes I've ever read in my life. I've spoken from the beginning of this story expressing my impressions of Gon's mindset and the contrast he creates with Killua. That they are both two extreme ends of what could ultimately be the same sort of person. Gon being one to throw caution to the wind and to always give everything he has no matter what. And Killua, someone that when forced with an unsure situation, runs. And
but that's not his character.
No.
He's forced to be like that.
It was a bug in his brain.
And then once he removes it, he's all piss and vinegar again. Just like Gon. This is the problem with this arc. I need, especially this moment, the moment of the whole Bud in his mind thing. It's just like, I need to either explain why he's like that and have him get over it almost instantly, or I just need him to stop being like this and figure out a way to make him stop being like this. And it's just, he has a Bud implanted in his mind by his big brother that he needs to run when he feels threatened. He takes it out and he goes, now I am changed. That's not character development or anything. People can say that it's good because he's being freed from his brother's shackles. He's choosing.
But shouldn't he be able to do that on his own, as opposed to, I was always scared and running away and afraid of my brother simply because I have this thing in my brain?
He should be able to work through it. I am scared, but I'm going to be here. Instead of just, oh yeah, he did put that thing in my mind, and just take it out and go, okay, now I can make my own choices and I choose to stand here. Instead of going through any sort of character development or growth or anything, he just pulls it out and he moves along.
One that, when forced with an unsure situation, runs. And in this scene, this dynamic is on display side by side for all to see. As the three of them venture deeper and deeper into the forest in search of the nest, hopefully in an effort to eliminate these ants, Kite, Killua, and Gon are stopped in their tracks as Kite senses an approaching enemy.
Well, what was that?
Killua and Gon are stopped in their tracks as Kite senses an approaching enemy. On top of this proving to be a terrific crescendo to the ever-building tension over the last while, it also made me leap from my seat in excitement as every single atom of this encounter was informed by character. Kite's mentor role, Pito's determination to seek out those with Nen, Gon's readiness to fight despite what Kite said, and Killua's immediately knocking out of his best friend for his own.
Wow, these characters' traits are on display, and these characters are doing their traits. Clap along, everybody.
Characters are acting in character. They are not acting out of character, and now we must clap. So Pito is just needs to seek out people with strong Nen. That's all she is. Kite is just a mentor figure.
Immediately,
this dude is just really bad at analyzing things, because this is
practically just explanation and some of the things he likes.
Is good because characters are acting in character.
I've never seen anything like this.
It's the most shocking thing ever. That somebody somebody just gets attacked out of nowhere.
This was immediately knocking out of his best friend for his own safety. I mentioned in my Attack on Titan video momentarily that one of the best attributes different scenes can offer is the question without an answer. If all your characters behave and act rationally without any flaws and never make any mistakes, then you have a boring scene. There's no texture there. There's
you just look around like, what is it?
Can I please hear that again?
You're just like, wait, what?
Is the question without an answer. If all your characters behave and act rationally without any flaws and never make any mistakes, then you have a boring scene.
Okay, so Batman taking down a bad guy in a Batman way is a bad scene because he's not displaying flaws during that scene.
And acting rationally.
And he's acting rationally within that scene. Because you didn't say, if that's all it does, then you have a bad story or a boring story. You said you have a boring scene.
Luffy telling everybody to run in Shaba Odi is very rational. Because they can't win. Is that boring?
But it's iconic. It's the most iconic of them.
But it's also boring. It can also just be boring.
So what are we talking about here?
What is he talking about?
If you would have said that for a story, I would at least hear an argument for that. Because I think you can have a bunch of flawless characters and the story could be good with a competent enough writer. But you're saying a scene. And that's unbelievable.
Very weird.
Answer. If all your characters behave and act rationally without any flaws and never make any mistakes, then you have
without
a
any
boring
flaws
scene.
And never make any mistakes. What was the mistakes in telling people to run in Shaba Odi? What was the flaw there? they needed to get away. They could not fight. What was the flaw or the mistake or it being not rational there? Guess that's a boring scene.
Is Goku turning Super Saiyan boring because nobody acted irrationally? Everybody in that kite scene acted rationally, the way they should act.
They acted in character. It is Gon's nature to act irrationally.
And you loved it.
That's very odd. I wonder if he's going to give any sort of examples. Because, like...
I guess the flaw would be Gon trying to act irrationally.
Yeah.
But I would like to hear examples, because this Attack on Titan thing means nothing to me, because I've never read or watched Attack on Titan, so I'm not going to watch a review of it.
I need an example of a scene where people are acting rationally flawless without making mistakes, and it's quote-unquote boring. Because isn't that basically just like mysteries? Detective Conan?
Yeah.
Things like that?
When they wrap up the story, where it's just like, this happened, this happened, this happened. Here's the rationale behind it.
That's a very flaws, mistakes, and being rational means a boring scene.
In my Attack on Titan video momentarily that one of the best attributes different scenes can offer is the question without an answer. If all your characters behave and act rationally without any flaws and never make any mistakes, then you have a boring scene. There's no texture there. There's no...
I do. I don't get it.
I don't get it at all. Like, flaws, rational.
And never make any mistakes, then you have
Please
a
give
boring
an example.
scene. There's no
Please.
texture there. There's no interest. However, when you add that uncertainty to a scenario...
Uncertainty does not equate to flawless or rational. If everybody acted flawlessly, rationally, but there was uncertainty in the scene itself, that contradicts what you're talking about.
Oh boy.
You can have flaws and all this crap, but the outcome is a certainty, right? So is it boring or not? You can be flawless and execute things without question and whatever and rationality and stuff, but there could be an uncertainty there. So is it now interesting?
Wow. What is he talking about? And do we have to like think of a Hunter x Hunter scene where people are acting without mistakes, rationally and
It's interesting.
It was without mistakes, rationally and
Boring
without
scene.
flaws.
Kurapika versus the big dude.
Kurapika versus the big dude. The end of the volleyball game where they use all of their abilities to catch the ball and hit the ball. What? Luffy punching Doffy. What is this? What is this? It creates a boring thing.
What is this mindset?
I need an example, quick, fast, and in a hurry, because he's just saying this.
You have a boring scene. There's no texture there. There's no interest.
There's no
However,
texture there. What do you mean there's no texture there?
Hey, he said that Kite had added depth and texture to the character. So I guess, if it's just a smooth thing, it's not interesting. But that bump of a flaw makes the whole thing more pretty.
Is that what it is? Because he sure didn't establish it.
a boring scene. There's no texture there. There's no interest. However, when you add that uncertainty to a scenario, you get a scene riddled with what ifs. What if Killua chose to stay? What if Gon managed?
Okay, so now you're just talking about
goodness.
Alternate scenarios and whataboutisms, which you can apply to almost any scene in history.
Any scene can be made better by what ifs. The intrigue of
Not better, but different.
Different. Just the intrigue of it. you could just go, what if this happens?
What if Luke didn't abandon a force?
And it changes things. It's at least changing things. What scene can you not sit there and go, what if something changed? And especially with such a big scene like this, and it not be at least markedly different. And with those differences comes further discussions. Dude, this copy-paste critiquing and analysis is killing me. He's not saying anything.
He's not saying anything.
He just go... I might need to watch that Attack on Titan video just to know what he's talking about with this whole boring and intrigue and what ifs and flaws, and because that broke me. If this is how he's analyzing things, what's a bad scene to him? Because what scene can you not ask what ifs?
What if Goku didn't play with Frieza and he just killed him after he turned Super Saiyan? He didn't let him go 100%. What if he just killed him? He gets off planet easily, which means there's no need for Trunks to come in the past, or there's no Frieza coming back, which means there's no need for everybody else to see Trunks, so he can slide Goku that medicine real easy on the side like he originally planned to. There's a lot of differences there. The androids 17 and 18 might not have been as strong because the Z Warriors weren't training or whatever, because the ones in Trunks' future are not as strong as the ones in our present. So a lot of, and there wasn't an Android 16. So a lot of things could have changed by that one little thing.
No, but Hunter x Hunter is good because of it as well. And no other thing does it. Or this does it exceptionally well. It's either no other things do it, this does it exceptionally well, or this does it as other things do it, but I'm also going to praise it here.
Killua chose to stay. What if Gon managed to avoid Killua's attack? What if Kite got a better weapon? What if? This was the chapter I had to take a break for, and during the break my mind was left spinning, trying to determine who in fact was in the right here.
Everybody except Gon.
Yes.
Gon would have been a detriment, and they all would have died.
Yes.
Killua got away because he saw they weren't as strong, so he carried Gon and got out. Kite literally saved their lives by pushing them away and lost an arm because of it. And he was not stronger than Pito, so he died.
Done.
Gon was not right.
There is no question here. Him just being big baby rage mad does nothing. Unless he's going to do the whole, I'm going to get all the power that I ever have. In which case, we're just back in the same situation.
Except Kite's alive. Oh, wait, no, Kite's alive anyway. Got reincarnated.
So, what are we doing here? Gon is wrong. There's no question here.
Hunter x Hunter has gone out of its way to almost parody in every opportunity the shonen genre as a whole.
Subversion. Deconstruction.
One.
We're here.
One.
Here we are.
It really has not. Two. Does just doing that make it good or better?
I was going through our comments because it was the dude with the ReZero thing, and one of my comments was just they were just like Subaru deconstructs I was just like, okay, so does gum that makes your breath stink make it good gum? It has to, because it's deconstructing what we think of gum. It is a car that drives
subversion.
Is a car that drives sideways a good car? It has to be by your rules because it's deconstructing what we think of as a car. Just by deconstructing, it doesn't automatically make it good. You can give it some points, but you begin the sentence with, yo, Hunter x Hunter different because it's parodying what the normal shonen stuff does. It's crazy that people cannot just praise Hunter x Hunter without just going
with its own merits.
Without just going, no, but it's doing things that shonens don't do, and that makes no.
It takes the things that shonen does and flips them on their head.
one of them videos was just like, oh, I think it was iPad where the transformation is supposed to be big, heroic, and it's supposed to win the day where Gons was horrifying and evil, and he died because of it.
He called it the reverse Super Saiyan transformation.
Oh my goodness. This crap.
I remember that.
This crap.
We're sitting the same basically again.
Oh, Lord. Doesn't matter. But in what way does this parody what shonen is? I'd love to see how it does this.
Parody in every opportunity the shonen genre as a whole. And in this scene, the most shonen event took place, but the heroes retreated, and we weren't certain.
Shaba Odi Archipelago. Kenichi has something called strategic retreat.
How did they beat Magellan? Oh, they didn't? They kicked a big wax thing at him and peaced out? Cause nobody could beat him?
What happened in The Last Jedi when the big old things are trying to kill them and Luke's just like force ghosting, and then all the heroes ran? How many times do the heroes retreat in things?
Whole Cake Island.
Dragon Ball. How many times did the heroes run from Frieza?
Goku could have beat Boo, but he didn't. Didn't run from him, but he didn't beat him.
Piccolo had a whole tense scene of walking Super Boo through all the stairs just to try to give the boys a little bit of time.
Man.
What happened when Boo tried to explode the planet? Oh, they ran and teleported somewhere else?
Man.
They didn't stand there and fight and try to get done. They ran.
And he can't even be like, yo, it's the act of running and never coming back to this person. Because they do. So Magellan is the best case for this. He was that arc's antagonist. He wasn't really the villain. He was that arc's antagonist. They did not beat him. Following 2 fights with our main character, Luffy, they did not beat him.
Almost killed Luffy, and then they just ran.
They ran. He wasn't like, oh, let me go get my revenge on Magellan. He ran. They went, let's pick up Luffy's corpse and run. Because there's no winning here after in Marineford. Archipelago. Let's go.
How many times has Shonen done, we can't win here, let's go?
How many people in CP9's plan was let's just get the key and run? Man, this deconstructing crap. Look, it's good because other shonen just big fight. Okay, he's not strong enough, so they run, obviously. So many things.
There's a arc in Ice Shield 21 where the reason everybody was afraid of Senna originally is because they thought he was this big American player named Ice Shield 21. So somebody's like, I'm the real Ice Shield 21, just to Senna. And Senna's like, well, I'm not going out on the field against him. I'm not deserving. He's going to kill me, blah, blah, blah. And he ran until the team kept losing. They kept pushing. And the quarterback's just like, just keep pushing. He's going to come back. Just keep pushing. And eventually he came back. But he ran from the situation.
My God.
How many times does this happen in Shonen? Yes, most of the arcs will have the hero just standing up to the villain. But you get a lot of just, let's run away.
Yes.
Big Mom, we are not fighting Big Mom. Their whole thing through the entire arc was running from her.
Don't interact with Big Mom. We not ready for that.
We couldn't kill her? Dang, we're all running. There's no other option here but to run. Mother's running in One Piece right now.
No, but Hunter x Hunter It's subverting, it's deconstructing, because they're not fighting at all times. Okay, you got this one moment of them running. What about all the times where they just stand and fight? What about last arc with Bomb Dude? And whoever...
They had a whole plan and Gon just went, no, I want to fight.
And whoever Biscuit and Killua fought, they stood and fought. Are we just praising this one moment of deconstruction and subversion?
And it's not even, because it's happened so many times.
And especially when it's a series of just fighting the big bad.
Retreated, and we weren't certain if that was the right decision.
No,
we weren't. We weren't certain.
How were we not certain?
Cause Kite.
What are the outcomes? Kite gets a good draw. Does he win? I would submit no, because Pito was beyond strong.
And he's got one arm
now. Let's say he gets the best possible draw, which we don't even know what that weapon is or does. But let's just say he gets a tremendous draw. What's it gonna do? What does it do? Can they win? Let's say they stay and Kite gets that bad draw and he goes, dang, I need 30 seconds before I can do my next draw. I need y'all to distract her for 30 seconds. Do you think they can hold out for 30 seconds?
Absolutely.
The answer is no. Pito will run through them.
There's nothing that they could do for 30 seconds. And that's even counting if he goes, okay, now I can draw again, and he gets another bad draw. He would have to draw again and get the perfect one. And they all three of them still be alive. Not Pito going, oh, I see what you're doing, and I can jump almost to that castle to here in an instant, but I'm just going to let you do it. So we got that option of they stick around and hopefully get the best draw, because they're not punching or touching them at all, unless we're talking about doing the bush, I need all the power that I will ever have thing.
Otherwise, it's certain death.
And he did that in response to Kite being dead and being truly unresurrectingly dead. So if he dies, well, we're just back in the same situation, just a little bit earlier.
It's one corpse versus three. And that's just the long and short of it.
We got the right answer.
There is no thumbs up end to this. This was the best possible outcome for everybody.
Especially since they had fought just a regular run-of-the-mill bum ant.
Without Nien at the time.
Without Nien. And they were getting the works put on them. They were getting destroyed. Now they're going to fight somebody that same ant we were showing him bowing to, because he was just like, I'm going to kill this one and I'm going to become the king and I'm going to have the strongest. And then he went, there's no point in me even dreaming about this, because they're so astronomically strong.
And that's just a night. Imagine the king himself. This is not hitting.
So they barely got away from somebody without Nien, and then that same person bows down
after getting Nien
to somebody who is untouchingly strong. And then we're supposed to assume that Kite, who we've only seen battle bum ants, Kite, Killua, and Gon having no real strength updates. We're supposed to believe that it's the right choice for them all to stay and fight when Kite got his arm cut off before he had a chance to do anything.
What is the strength of Kite versus a bunch of the other hunters that went in, like the Smoke Dude?
That's a very good question.
Because those people couldn't beat the big strong ant, which is probably the weakest ant out of all of them.
So we don't know. We don't know powers here. We can't even be like, okay, he wasn't on the 7 Zodiacs, so he had to be, because Gon's father is. But then there's a bunch of them that just straight up be like, I'm not a fighter. So it's not about strength over there. So what is the strength hierarchy here? It's just a bunch of strong people, especially since the Smoke Dude Netero and the dude that's just like, yo, I got the eyes and I can track people and all that stuff. He goes crazy from sensing Pito's strength.
Completely nuts. Loses his hair, everything.
So,
just the periphery of her power.
So what are we doing here? Why should we believe that it's the right choice for them to have stayed and have been murdered when they are struggling with basic ants? Killerwood was almost... It had to be a fake out that Killerwood was murdered by just this lower level ant. And now we're one rung under the tippity top. And we're like, dang, they should have just stayed there.
Was this the right choice to run away? Absolutely.
Absolutely, because not 3 minutes later is Kite beheaded.
Maybe that was the right decision. Exact time. Chill out, y'all. Gon's greatest flaws, which...
Wait, hold on. What about Gon's flaws?
Right decision. Highlighting once more Killua and Gon's greatest flaws, which just so happen to be what this arc is about. Additionally, something else which I think is noteworthy has to be Kite's demise here and now. In the manga, this is a massive subversion, both for Gon and...
It's not a tiny subversion. Not a big subversion. A massive subversion. That the mentor character dies? Isn't that a big trope?
But he's saying that Gon's like, Kite's gonna be fine. I believe in Kite. And then the next thing you see is him beheaded.
Why should we believe that Kite is gonna be fine? We have no indication for it.
Version, both for Gon and us as the readers. Introduced to him in the first chapter, while this is a reunion of sorts, Kite primarily is someone that set the foundation for the Gon character we see today. And when we see him get torn away from us, we're left speechless. Surely this couldn't have happened just like this, not after all this time we've waited to see him. Surely he could still be alive and well, and while riding that wave of hope, Togashi takes full advantage of our perspective, placing some truly horrific imagery of Kite's disembodied head on the lap of Pito. And while I
pause, it's no subversion for me.
I feel like you guys are attributing a lot of subversion narrative to Togashi wanting to be shocking.
That could be it. That could definitely be it. Because, like we said, it's not like he went up against an already one of the Chimera Ant Knights. We're just simply told that he's strong. I think that they say that he's like an A-level knight, A-level hunter or something. I forget what the exact ranking was, but he's just like, he is a very high-level hunter, and we don't know what that means. We don't know. We don't have anybody to compare that to or anything. So Kite, having defeated a bunch of random nothing ants, same as Killua and Gon, is killed by the super strong ant that cut off his arm in an instant. He said that he's getting bad draws, but we never see a good draw. So there's no reason to believe that a good draw would keep him from dying here. This was not surprising. This is kind of surprising.
No,
but it's also expected.
It's expected that a mentor dies, but it's surprising in the way that he did die.
It's not just surprising that the mentor, quote unquote, died. It's not surprising, not very surprising that Kite died, because we have not seen any great feats of strength or anything comparable to believe that he could survive.
Mentioned this briefly last week, I do think it's worth mentioning one more time in this instance. The 2011 anime omitted this scene and as a result robbed it of the weight the manga otherwise gave it by design. In the manga, he's one of the first characters we're introduced to. He helps to inform who Gon eventually becomes, and the reunion we get to enjoy between the two characters is bitterly brief. But in the anime, he just, for all intents and purposes, despite the retroactive integration, is very much a new character that shows up to just die.
Okay,
the exhaustion killer...
True that, but if you look at the manga, how many times has Kite's name been brought up until this point? Less than 5? If it informed his entire character, his worldview, all that stuff, and he barely mentions them, and then he shows up out of nowhere, this is still just some dude. You can superficially say that he had an impact on Gon's life and how he turned out, but we don't really see it. We hear Luffy talking about Shanks, how his hat is important and precious and all that stuff. That's how we know the connection between those two. But here, doesn't really happen. He's not even like, maybe I can find Kite so he can tell me where my dad is, or I know somebody who knows where my dad is, or anything. He's just some dude in either one. Take away that first chapter, add the first chapter, whatever, doesn't matter. He's just some dude that we are told is important, that we are told is strong, and we never really get a feeling for that.
The exhaustion Killua exhibits from carrying Gon's unconscious limp carcass all the way back to the entrance shows just how fast and hard he tried to get out of there. This kid was terrified. All the training they went through, all that they've overcome throughout this story. Seeing that look on Killua's face and the exhaustion he felt after simply running really puts into perspective the mindset he was in, as well as helps to amplify my intimidation towards these new antagonists all the more. This is incredibly effective and potent storytelling. And with my mind now fixated on Killua, thinking back to his quitting of the ball game against Netero in the first arc, Jeez, speak of the devil, it's Netero.
It's Netero. That's his name.
Your boy got sponsored by G.
Yeah. Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, that's fine.
Won't you say?
Shocking.
See, it's a bad joke, but because of the bad singing, we're admitting that it's a bad joke, and thus it makes it good, or okay, or funny, or subversive.
I don't think that's how that goes.
That's sometimes how it goes.
Initially, I worried over this section possibly feeling like another...
No.
Okay, where do you think I'm going with this?
That one little frame that
Boy,
showed
you
up.
sure do know me. Fix it, Mark.
Editor.
Initially, I worried over this section possibly feeling like another waiting period. However, upon closer inspection...
Why are you always worried about what a series is about to do?
Let it happen!
Do you just read something like,
oh my goodness, things aren't immediately happening. Oh my goodness, this doesn't connect to the previous arc. It's automatically bad. Oh my goodness, I'm waiting for things to happen. What's going on? Stuff needs to happen right now.
Next page. Oh, okay, cool.
Gohan is studying and waiting for Trunks. What's going on? Why aren't people fighting right now? Now. I'm so worried. Dude, what are you doing? Let the story unfold before you just start crying about, why isn't stuff happening? What are you doing?
Possibly feeling like another waiting period. However, upon closer inspection, it precisely focuses on some of the most interesting and fleshed out elements of this entire series, the two boys. While the Chimera Ants are the titular antagonists, they are very much there to facilitate these moments of character reflection in this tale. Without them, without this unknown powerful force shrouded in mystery, unaware of where they exactly are, how many there are, or whether or not Kite will ever return, it preys with surgical precision on the issues Gon and Killua face personally.
Hey, why are you not mentioning how they got their Nin?
I told you he was not going to double back to that.
We're already with the 3 ants.
I told you. you legit thought that he was.
I still think he could.
No. He's not talking about that. That's not what's important to this arc. It's about them two and the humanity struggles and whatever. He's not talking about the story. He's not talking about any of that. He's talking about the moments that are important and that feed into the greater theme and the personalities of the two boys, and that's all that really matters.
But the story itself, the plot, how did they obtain the power, and
why is it good?
Why are the knights so much stronger?
Well, those are good questions. Who are those Who are those other 2 knights that was with Pito? Were they even knights? Who's to say? We're moving on.
This scene was viciously interesting. Netero, someone that once upon a time would only speak lightheartedly and with positive vibes over different subjects.
Light-hearted character become serious? My God, what an unexpected thing to happen in this series. Light-hearted, strong character suddenly very serious? My God, how interesting.
I don't know if he's feeding to the people that only watch certain videos of his or who are not well versed in anime or manga or anything. I don't know why he's saying things like this. This is very common. This is nothing spectacular. Who cares? I'm so sick of him. Dude, he's struggling to find either he's struggling to find things to talk about or he's just this not good. It's one of the two.
I would assume the second one. I think this is really the lens of how he sees these series, and he's just not very good. He's not. The way he looks at it is so odd because it's like he reads everything as if it's the first thing he's ever read.
Seriously. Or he only has one frame of reference. He's just comparing everything to Dragon Ball. Just like One Piece, Dragon Ball. And then, now that he's outside of the One Piece world, he's not comparing Hunter x Hunter to One Piece at all. It's just back to Dragon Ball. So serious character gets goofy.
Goofy gets
Boo!
Yeah.
Fat Boo!
I mean, Master Roshi. I mean, Goku.
No! What is he doing? Vegeta, when he had to dance for Beerus.
He's not a goofy character though. He's.
I'm going goofy character acting serious character acting goofy. I'm just going interspersed, just back and forth. It doesn't matter because there's so many examples of this.
Of both.
That once upon a time would only speak lightheartedly and with positive vibes over different subject matter is firm in this scene. Once again, aiding in the effort to create a sense of unease and chaos around the situation, implying perhaps covertly that he may very well think that Gon and Killua are valuable, but in Killua's case, he sees serious issue. One that has been a recurring...
So, the head of the Hunter exam, who is normally Hunter Association, is very lighthearted normally and is now acting serious. Any particular reason why we should believe that he's acting serious in this moment? Maybe the fact that ants are coming and have already killed hundreds of people and are very, very strong enough that he goes, "Oh, Kite was fighting back there, and he knows of Kite's rank." And he's going, all right, if Kite's having issues, this is a big issue. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's just as simple as that. Now, I just said that without mentioning, like, subversion, any sort of theme, any sort of, like, just, like, concepts. You can explain things and what they are without just going into the concept realm.
And how you think and feel about them.
Yes. It's just that simple.
Has been a recurring theme with Killua since the very beginning of this series. His lack of tenacity.
Pause. And that's not his character at all.
And that's not his fault.
That's not his fault. That's not his character, and it can be easily changed.
It's something he literally cannot overcome on his own. He had to go into his brain and dig it out.
It's nothing. There's no event in his past that caused that. That caused him to run or anything like that. There's nothing no like catalyst. That. There's nothing like that. He was forced to act like this. And then he's not, and then he's a different character. And the fact that people praise that when in everything else people have a character arc of I need to overcome my lack of tenacity, and then they do it, whereas this, he just reaches into his brain and pulls out the joystick that is making them act like that. That is very bad because there is no agency there.
勝つ気でやる。相手のオーラに気をされ、逃げた時点でお前は失格。敗者以下だ。
I think what I found most interesting when reading Netero's analysis of this situation wasn't what he said, but what he didn't say. And ultimately, my wondering over why he never said it. And that specifically concerns Gon and his shortcomings. Netero, throughout this exchange, seemed to fixate exclusively on Killua's issues. And this is the brilliance of this scene.
Hey, maybe because Gon's unconscious and can't hear all that he needs to fix. I mean, it could be as simple as that.
Hey, when he wakes up, tell him that he sucks. Like, what? Hey, I'm going to tell you his flaws so that you can tell him. And it's a game of telephone at that point. Or he could just use that time to talk to you.
Was issues, and this is the brilliance of this scene. Killua very much does have issues, and I think they are much more pronounced and therefore clearer to others when he engages with people. However, Gon's seemingly suicidal disregard for himself and, under the right circumstances, others around him have played a significant role in this series too, from as early as the first arc. But all of those instances or shortcomings seem to be much more closely linked to tenacity, or perhaps more dangerously, can masquerade as tenacity. And so the latter makes me wonder, does Netero know of that poison in Gon? He's coaching Killua and does make clear his flaws, and well, what he's...
The one who's pointing out Killua's flaws is Moro. Maybe Mark got confused. Netero is mostly analyzing the situation.
Oh, whoops. And it also hurts because even if he's interacted with the kids one time, and he never does after this scene. And this is the first time that Morel has seen Killua. And he's talking about his flaws and stuff.
Maybe he got a report of what happened from Killua.
And he's laying out his flaws, his character flaws?
Not necessarily his character flaws, but just like the second you got overwhelmed, you were a loser.
Okay.
I think Mark is just speaking to this being way more important than it actually is.
Yeah. 33 chapters that he couldn't.
Says is interesting and worth thinking about for Killua. I think it's what he doesn't say to Gon that made the most...
Gon is knocked out! What is he meant to say?
So this just makes this entire analysis just worthless. Because... You know, he's the wrong person. So you can go, oh, he interacted with them before, so he knows their personality. No, he doesn't, because it's the wrong person.
Noise in my mind. If even Netero isn't aware of it or doesn't consider it a pressing issue, is Netero's direction focused on the right someone? For right as he finishes outing Killua's issues and the two boys are sent on their way to overcome the set of tests.
Why would the editor not be like, hey, yo, Mark, that's not the character. You gotta rewrite this part.
We got deadlines, bruh. Editor song.
5 minutes? As you're editing the other parts, like, hey, yo, Mark. Because
he'd have to change a lot of what he just said. Because now it's no longer about does Netero know about and it's much less important because it's this side dude. Mm-hmm. So he'd have to change a lot what he said.
Okay, then that's what it's got to be, other than just being wrong.
And but he was corrected in the comments.
That's not
it's not good enough.
Because there is 8 minutes left in this video. Mm-hmm. So let's say it takes 2 days to edit those 8 minutes. Are you telling me in those 2 days, Mark couldn't have rewrote that one part, re-recorded it, and sent it to him?
No.
Just to not make himself look a fool? No. A straight fool?
A dude that just read it.
33 chapters!
Okay, this is what I think happened, though. I think he read the entire arc and then only reviewed the first 33 chapters.
Could be.
Which would make a lot more sense.
But how did he analyze what just happened? Because he had to go, Netero is talking about Killua's flaws and everything. You would think that he would open up the manga and be like, what exactly did Netero say so that I can further explain how it ties into everything? How did he do that? Proofreading? as he was reading, did he just go, all right, Netero talks about tenacity and blah, blah, blah?
Yeah. He probably did it like this. He probably read it, wrote down, Netero talks to Killua, but not Gon. Is there meaning there? Question mark. And after that, he wrote the script around it.
Okay. But you have to go back and say and look exactly what he say, and how can I further?
I got what I need.
Explain how it ties into everything. I do not see that.
Is there meaning?
He would have to.
Why?
Otherwise, it's just him going.
Yep.
Oh, but he talked about this one thing, but he didn't talk about this other thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, but in my mind, I would be like, okay, what did he exactly say? So that I can reference, he said this at this moment.
A week. That's why you don't.
Dude,
you would be reading and rereading. Ain't nobody got time for that.
I gotta put out a video
a week.
Says so Thursday. Much about Mark. That's insane.
No,
he had this whole analysis about Netero. That's just false. The editor was just like, I'll just put it in the editor note. Instead of telling Mark and having him re-record it.
I mean, he's just the editor. He's just paying to edit the
Mark
video.
Wrote all that crap down. That had to be 2-3 minutes talking about tenacity and Gon and Killua and all that stuff. And didn't reference the manga once?
He did. He showed Netero.
No, he didn't.
He showed Netero.
No, he didn't. That was the editor.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're right. You're correct. Maybe that was one of his notes, though, to the editor. You know, the editor, they just get the footage and they just edit it, man. They can't give notes. They're not allowed.
Have a spine. Message him and go,
that's not his job.
You got the wrong character. And
Here's the thing. Why would he care? Or he or she care? Why would they care? I'll say they. Why would they care?
Because you cared enough to make a note that's just like, Mark is wrong here. Mm-hmm. But not care enough to go, hey, Mark, you're wrong?
Yeah.
Why not? You care enough to say, this is incorrect information, but not go to the person and go, this is incorrect information.
Okay, maybe it was like a lot of times testers, and I know about this, testers point out bugs and stuff, and people just go, yeah, we're not going to fix that.
Okay, then that's just Mark.
Yes.
No matter what we're doing here is bad. Either the editor is too much of a coward.
No, not too much of a coward. They don't care.
Either the editor doesn't care enough to message Mark again.
It's just a job to them. Hey, you gave me the footage. I'm editing it. This is your stuff.
I ain't never watched One Piece. Shabaodi. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do the Mad Manga Rouge. That's iconic. So either the editor doesn't care enough to go back to Mark and go, hey Mark, this is going to be a pretty big video. This is about one of the most beloved arcs in all of Shonen. Maybe you re-record that part and send it back to me.
Maybe tighten that part up a little, bruh.
Either that happened or he did do that and Mark just went, whatever.
Just put a note in. Or the editor was just like, I ain't got no dog in this fight, so I'm going to just put the note in and we're going to move on. I would assume the third one, honestly.
But that just speaks to the editor. But Mark would have had to proof watch it at least, don't you think?
Yeah. And at that point, it's all edited. It's all done.
It's kind of too late.
And it's just like, oh, they put the note in. That's cool.
Yeah. But there is also examples of Mark being like, at the end of Attack on Titans, he was just like, look, I'm so drained from doing this video. And I want to put out a video on the very last chapter. Because he did from chapter 1 to right before the last chapter. And then there's another video on the last chapter. And in the comments, he was just like, hey, this episode was written by this dude named Anime AJ. And he just voiced it, and he was like, our thoughts are basically the same, so he just wrote it, and I just said it. I'm like, that's so terrible.
Yeah,
that's awful. Why would you do that? Why would you admit that? Why wouldn't you just, hey, let me Because you could have
at least said, you rewrote some things and it was a collaborative effort.
Co-written.
This is co-written by. This is a collaborative effort with.
Because your thoughts aren't gonna match up 1-to-1 exactly. I don't agree with this dude all the time.
A lot of the time.
If I go, hey, just write down my review of Whole Cake Island and just put it out.
Okay, it's his favorite arc. It's not mine, so I'm not gonna love it nearly as much as him.
Exactly. So. And you're just like...
And the things I care about in that arc aren't going to be the same things he cares about in that arc.
Terrible. Mark is really bad. That is a really bad moment.
Yes. It's not great.
And on their way to overcome the set of tests in the next town, we smash cut to an image of Kite's decapitated head resting on Pito's lap. And it did that all to possibly subvert the message or...
It did that entire thing to possibly subvert. Hey, how about you just look at the story and it doesn't hold up on its own merits?
I'm done to possibly subvert. That whole thing was possibly a subversion. I don't know. I'm not here to analyze this stuff. Oh, and I am. Oh, shit.
It's literally my job.
That all to possibly subvert the message or instruction Netero outlined. To prove the...
I just realized we will never get sponsors.
Oh, no.
Because all we do is talk bad about other people.
That's fine. I don't want them. Especially if I don't...
I would never do like Raid Shadow Legend because I played that before and I'm like, this is horrible.
So I would G Fuel. I'm like, what is this? Some kind of supplement? Now, something like Casper, a nice bed company.
I could see if they sent over like promotional stuff and I liked it, I would do it. Mm-hmm. But if it was just like, do this, no thank you. Money's good, but it's not everything.
All to possibly subvert the message or instruction Netero outlined. To prove the point that Gon could also be nuts, and that Killua made the exact right call in that moment, considering Netero didn't know the scale of the situation.
Pause. So was the question answered, or are we just using this old man's judgment to go, oh...
not that old man, the other dudes.
We're using somebody's judgment to go, Killua made the right decision. So can we not analyze it ourselves to be like, he made the right decision? Can we not see the situation as it's on a whole and just go, yep, right decision? Do we need to be told that it's the right decision by somebody who we are just being introduced to in one case, and in another case we have seen maybe 2 times? Because I don't know exactly who said it. According to Mark, according to the editor, according to you, who knows? Who cares? But I'm not taking these people's word for it. I'm taking what I saw. And in what I saw, it was good to run.
Which again plays into that very philosophy I adore in writing offered by Pete Docter from Pixar. It's that struggle with no answer that makes for the best stories. And
there is an answer. The answer is to run or you stay back and you die. What's the struggle here?
Can I get some examples of struggles with no answers that are tremendous stories?
Moving on.
For the best stories. And that quote is pertinent because as an audience we have perhaps the best insight into this encounter. And I don't know about you, but it doesn't seem nearly as clean cut as Netero is making it out to be. Killua does have this issue in him for certain, but perhaps in this instance he did the right thing.
No, it's not perhaps. He absolutely did. They all would have died.
He's not offering the counterpoint of what happens if they stay. He's just asking the question of what happened. Oh, is it good that they ran?
And it's basically the big strong dude just going, you're a loser for running. But Killua made the right choice.
Yes. I'd rather run and live. Even without... What would have happened if he didn't have the other head bud? Would he have stayed?
And they all died?
Whatever. Doesn't matter. Yeah, that's what if. Mark said that was good. We're talking about it.
Jeez, I love this story. It's so complicated and it's so detailed.
It's not.
No, it's not, dude. It's so simple. Killua made the right choice.
And you see how we offered the alternative perspective of what happens if they stay and go and Mark just goes, it wasn't a good idea. Who's to say? Apparently, either Netero or a homeboy, they're to say. But this is why he loves it. Because there's no real clean-cut answer. Yes, there is. And even if there wasn't, that's not what makes a good story.
Nuanced, and it's amazing.
Okay, here's what we're about to do.
No, don't don't do it. Don't look up nuanced.
Dude, you know me way too well. Cause I am so tired of him throwing that word around. Characters by subtle shades of meaning or expression. They outright say these things.
Yeah. I can excuse him for not knowing the exact definition of a word.
But I'm tired of him throwing it around like it needs to be heralded as something spectacular because it's nuanced.
Yes.
Just because something is subtle doesn't make it good.
Yeah, according to Mark, it does. I don't know what...
I'm so tired of this type of analysis where it's just, hey, it's thematic, it's iconic, it's nuanced, it's detailed, it's depth, and it's all this extra crap without just saying it's good. Depth itself does not make it good. Is the depth good? Themes themselves do not make it good. Are the themes good?
But people need to hear that so they go, what I'm watching isn't just some dumb punch thing. It's smart. And I'm smart for watching it. It's good for doing these things. Not for what the things are. No, just for what the things are, not what it's exactly doing. Just the fact that it's deep. Just the fact that we have questions. Not that the question is obviously answered, because it was, but just the fact that they're asking questions. And it's nuanced. It is not just some, oh, I'm just going to buff up and punch. People need that. And Mark needs to tell people that. This is why Hunter x Hunter is good. This is why Hunter x Hunter is praised. Because you have to praise it like this.
Based on everything he said, there's some type of scratching thing coming on from when we move.
Oh. No, that was I was touching the fan on my foot.
Anyway, what was I just saying? Oh my god!
Based on what he said.
Which part?
You said based on what he's just said.
Mark?
Yeah, that was your words out of your mouth. You said based on what he just said.
I lost it.
Go on.
Let me hear. Maybe I'll get it back.
In this instance, he did the right thing. Jeez, I love this story. It's so complicated and it's so detailed. It's so nuanced and it's amazing.
Okay, yeah, this is what I was going. Based on what he just said, what isn't good?
Seriously.
What just punches you in its face with this message?
Seriously. Now, he did say it's so nuanced. So everything is nuanced.
It's but so this subtle.
This is a level above.
Okay, this is basically what he's saying. Everybody's criticizing Killua for running, but did he make the right choice? That's essentially his entire thing. And because of that, it's subtle, nuanced, and complex.
Well, the answer's so clear.
That's literally his entire thing.
It is. It most certainly
was Killua right for running?
And that's why he loved it. Because there's questions like that. Because people can't just go, nah, he was right. You have to sit there and question like, oh, he went against his friend's wishes. But if he left him there, his friend would have died. Things like that. That's what makes it. Dude, we've had a brief glimpse into his analysis style where he goes, oh, a scene is boring if it's just flawless.
Rational
and
something else,
whatever the other one was, but something like that. You go, okay, if that's what you looking at it as, I guess.
It's so nuanced and it's amazing. Alright, so this section of the story we're about to embark upon is set up to once again be a very stereotypical shonen subplot, wherein the two main characters offer themselves over to a wonderful master, in this case Biscuit, in order to overcome the challenge of collecting their opponent's tiles, so as to qualify to help.
He has to say that it's stereotypical.
Because there's some subversion coming?
No, it's not to deride this for being stereotypical. It's just to praise it later when it gets out of that stereotypical shonen thing.
Wouldn't that be subversion though? Because you expect the stereotypical shonen thing, and then it doesn't do that.
Even when it's being stereotypical, it's still subverting expectations.
collecting their opponent's tiles, so as to qualify to help with the Chimera Ant problem before the king is born, and in case Netero and the other more advanced hunters need assistance, and before Pam cuts them into little pieces. This could very well be the most unshonen training arc I think I've ever seen. The boys are made to understand their
They embark in a stereotypical shonen training arc. That is the most unstereotypical. Dude, you can't say both of these things. You can't call it just another shonen training arc and then just go, it's so different from ones that I've seen before.
It's kind of an oxymoron. It's typically untypical.
It's crazy.
Untypically typical.
It's crazy that he just keeps doing this.
shonen training arc I think I've ever seen. The boys are made to understand their circumstances, understand what's at stake, what they need to do, and then they fail hard. And I'm here for it.
This is like every shonen training arc ever. They try, they fail, they keep trying till they succeed.
So you're telling me that I don't understand what he's saying here. Just the fact that they trained and then they just didn't succeed. What? Ippo? He trained for his I'm not punch drunk and then he lost
and retired. Boy, it's a Rizzy rap.
He trained for that and what happened there?
I was not a fan of the punch drunk stuff.
That happened. I understand that he doesn't have the knowledge, but Luffy trained and he got one shot by Kaido.
I think what he's saying is they go into their initial training and they fail spectacularly. Which is a lot of things, because you look at Tanjiro, he failed a bunch. And then he didn't. And what happens here? They fail hard and then they don't.
Is he talking about failing in the fact that they were not chosen because they didn't get the tiles? Even though they trained, he was not able to beat.
I guess because this is the whole training arc. So,
okay. Yeah, Ippo done.
And I'm here for it. I love that decision. In this training section, the two boys fail in their assignment, but in doing so, I think they learned the exact lessons they needed to. Or at least one of them does. And interestingly, despite the vast majority of hiccups, they come out on top in the end.
Cool.
Oh, well, okay. Not really, but it's okay, sort of, but alright. Let's take a look at this because it might be the highlight of the arc for me so far. Once we get to this town, the two boys must train and we're immediately introduced to this charming character called Pam. She is depicted in just the most horrific way. Like, she looks like what would happen if you combine Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas with a Dementor from Harry Potter. Her bloodthirsty eagerness to participate in this effort with Netero is honestly hilarious. Her straightforward, brutal honesty in the face of the boys' lack of development or progress really leads her to deliver some of the most dry and hilarious threats on their lives, contrasted beautifully with Gun's kind-hearted and oblivious nature.
But it would be great if you showed examples of these things.
No, just say it.
Cool.
Just say it, and we're moving on.
Cool.
She does some very dry threats, and that's very funny. Moving on.
Cool.
This is a video for whom? Is it for video? Is this a video?
People that already agree with them.
And that's what always the problem is. You
Mark
already know
videos. Mark makes videos for people to go, I already agree with you because you're right. You're right because I already agree with you.
Yeah, she did make very dry threats. And it was hilarious. Funny. Moving on.
Mark saying everything correct. That's why I like him. Oh, he hated this series? That's right, because it's bad. Oh, he loved this? Of course he does. It's a great series.
My goodness.
Beautifully with Gun's kind-hearted and oblivious nature. In the manga, so many of her shots depict her with this wild jet black hair totally obscuring her face, with the only visible discerning feature being her piercing white eyes that cut through the darkness like a wild animal caught in the headlights. I'm not entirely sure what sort of role this character will play in the long run, but at the moment she's here to act as a threat, as I said to the two boys if they failed, but
he's not sure what kind of role.
But he showed future Gone stuff. The editor did, but he knows of it.
He most certainly does. So either he offered that question earlier of, I wonder where this is gonna lead us, knowing not where it leads us to, and him only reading those 30. And I don't know, cause again, is he reading? Okay. No, he was on Twitter and just said he was 33 chapters in. When was that?
While you're looking that up, this is what I hate about the way they do Gone in this arc. If it was peppered throughout the series, it would be much more understandable that he had that darkness. Or if they talked about the reason he acted like that is because he went crazy from pedos and in. I would understand that. Because Killua felt it and turned tail and ran. But he just went nuts because he's not as in tune with it. Understandable. But it's just like, oh, Gone has much darkness within. No, thank you.
So, it was on... I just had it up.
You are big trash.
No. It was on the 29th that he said he was 30 chapters deep.
Okay, so that's probably when he recorded this.
So, it was recorded. It had to be written, recorded, and edited. In 3 days?
Yeah, that's easy.
No, I'm saying that's a problem because not only he's writing so fast that he's not proofreading, and the editing is not very spectacular. So
honestly, you could take a day to write and record.
Sure, but he shouldn't be doing it so soon. He shouldn't be like,
he should let it marinate a little bit. But it's a blind review.
No, not like that. I'm saying that. It was 3 days ago that he had basically finished up his 30 chapters obligation. And then he writes it and records it and puts it out.
Okay, but maybe he wrote it as he was reading it.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, why not 2-3 weeks ago are you not reading up to the 30 chapters and having it written down and having it already put out to editing instead of like 3 days before it comes out?
So you're saying you knew you were doing this. Why weren't you doing it way before now? Because that way you could get more time.
Mistakes like that happen. It's not enough time. You shouldn't be 3 days out before a chapter. So that just basically tells us he's only current to what he says. And maybe he was told that Gone gets dark.
Merrily, also a comedic one. Oh, and Biscuit's here. The two boys at this moment in time are like chaos and order side by side. Too much chaos is utterly ineffective, and too much order meets pretty much the same fate. But honestly, Killua gets put on blast in this section quite a bit more than Gon does. In fact, a great scene takes place where even Biscuit takes Killua to task and tells him that either he overcomes this issue he seems to have trouble with, or he must leave Gon's side immediately. The stakes are high for sure, but even then I couldn't help but think, why is no one taking Gon to task about his issue nearly as harshly? And then this happens. So, all the while we are watching the boys slowly progress and try to perfect their nen in order to overcome their targets, knuckle and shoot, we have the stakes get worse and worse and worse elsewhere. And interestingly, this is where this side of the conflict starts to come into its own. For the longest time, this section was just about the emotionless queen making babies and her offspring running amok, gathering more resources, but this time, the king is here. Alright, so, I get the feeling this is a long-running and exhausted joke, but I'm gonna say it anyway. This king guy is such a rip-off design-wise of Cell and Frieza from Dragon Ball. But hey, at least it's scary. Furthermore, with a now defected ant letting the Taro know that he has no...
How is this scary? He just killed some random ant that we basically have only seen once or
How
twice.
dare you talk? Well, bam.
And that was it. Oh no. Super strong person is coming out. I don't care. It means nothing. We don't know the strength of the higher up ants because we have nothing to compare it to because Kite is just said to be strong.
So strong.
So strong. So if we're talking about normal ants being a 3 and Kite mows them down, what? He's a 5 And we don't see the fight between him and Pito, but Pito won, so
quite easily because she barely had any scratches.
So she's a 7 and the king's a 10. Is that the scale that we're having to go by?
No chance against this new king, the hype levels rise even further. Plus, Netero powering up is friggin' awesome. With all of these different elements and interactions...
That's all it was. How is that awesome?
I'm serious.
All of this is starting to feel a lot more like Dragon Ball, and I'm here for it.
Shoot is essentially worthless. Knuckle is that dude.
Alright, so look, this is the last day that Gon and Killua can fight them and qualify to help Netero in his effort with the Chimera Ants. They've gotten a ton stronger in the last month, and now it is go time. And the battle Gon has with Knuckles is phenomenal. One that depends on your knowledge and expectation to deliver its message. Obviously, Knuckle is an endearing character, and I do love him, but I also love the mechanics of Knuckles' Nen, which force Gon to be efficient and efficient with his movements. He can't rush in. It's a great pairing in combat. Killua's fight with Shoot, on the other hand,
but what does he learn from this? You would think that he would learn, just like, look, I can't just
jump in.
Yeah.
You think it would be a lesson of some type that lets him look into his character a little bit and grow from it?
Yeah, something like that.
He punched him.
But then later, his big power-up relies on him going, I just want to kill this person.
Don't care what happens
Don't care what happens. So why have the lesson?
Forces him to be more direct and confident in his movements is also great. That fight in particular has some sublime paneling that captures the frantic, stressed out, and disorganized nature of the encounter.
I do not care about paneling. I'm just gonna say this outright because Mark seems to care quite a bit about it and elevates and denigrates things depending on how the paneling is.
I would care if I was told why something is good or bad. Like this, he just goes, it captures the frantic nature. He could go, look how his arms come here. You can see the whoosh lines going here or something. There was a comment in our Discord that was just like, this One Piece panel is very cluttered. And I'm like, why is it cluttered? I don't understand. Just saying that it is cluttered doesn't really mean anything to me. And just going that this is sublime and it's great paneling and it captures the frantic nature, he could explain it more because now I'm just forced to try to figure out what it means and give an answer, and whatever answer that I come up with is going to be the best answer for me. So
but it's not necessarily the answer he has.
So by just going as great paneling, he's forcing me to answer the question, and I'm always going to have the right answer. So instead of him explaining himself, why is great paneling, he just leaves it up to the audience. That's not good. And then I'm not learning anything, and him just going, just stop with just saying stuff without explaining it.
Sublime paneling that captures the frantic, stressed out, and disorganized nature of the encounter. Perfectly captures the chaotic, cluttered, and uncertain thoughts of Killua as he tries to make sense of everything that's going on. It's unlike any fight in the series and stands out all the more because of that fact.
Another is unlike anything else.
But in the series, at least.
Is this just his... He said that before in this video. But is that just his baseline? I don't really have anything to say about this. So it's unlike anything else?
Yeah.
And again, if
he's terrible at describing things adequately. He's very much just like, this is unlike anything I've ever seen, and that's exciting. Like, he can't explain excitement without going, it's the best I've ever seen, or it's unlike anything I've ever read. He can't just go, this is tremendous because of blank, blank, blank. It just was better than anything I've seen in the series so far.
As it should. This is a pivotal moment for the young one-time assassin turned hunter to prove to both his mentor and to himself that he is his own person and that he is in control of his life and decisions, not anyone else. And they lose. Gon now has no Nen for a month due to the after effects of Knuckles' Nen, and Killua, in his own mind, knows that he must protect Gon, ironically, while he's defenseless, and then leave him forever. This was such a remarkable place to leave this story, such a low point, and it's brilliant. Gon and Killua did face off against their respective targets, but they did so while showing that they both still have the same problems. Gon went headfirst into the battle with Knuckle time and again, and while it proved to be great training, it was the same straightforward and unflinching approach which proved to be his downfall in the last encounter before he was ultimately defeated. And Killua, while he did eventually face him, he did so at the last possible moment. Which means these decisions these two kids made throughout this mini-arc could have been indicators for its ending to us as an audience. If we were paying attention, we could have seen this coming. This is such a brilliant section of the story.
Okay. Wait, hold on. So if we were paying attention, we would have saw it coming. But if it didn't do this and it went the other way, it would be brilliant because it would be subverting of what we believed was going to happen.
You can't lose.
You can't lose.
Togashi don't miss.
Because the way it is, okay, we did pay attention. We understood going straight forward nature is going to get him losing this one. Okay, so there's two outcomes. He keeps going straight forward and doesn't learn anything and he loses, or he learns and doesn't go straight forward and wins. And he kept going straight forward and he lost, which is subversion. But if you believe that's what that was going to happen and it didn't, that would have also been subversion.
Yes. There's no losses here.
There's no losses here.
It's good no matter what.
100-some game.
Yep. That's and I was waiting for him to talk about that forehead, bud, and he did not. And I'm very disappointed in him. I don't know if he doesn't find it good enough to talk about.
No, that's ridiculous. This isn't a review of kissing Hunter x Hunter's butt. It's a review. So you talk about everything, the positives and the negatives of it.
That's why I say I don't think he thinks that it's important enough.
No, I don't care. How can it not be important if he reaches into his brain
and changes his entire fighting character and everything? I was just waiting for him to talk about that because that's a very bad scene. He talks about character and development and all this, and this just goes against all of that.
And then there's, well, this character, despite lacking, I assume, any heart or soul, is very much the heart and soul of this arc section. She is so damn funny in this manga. But again, there's this weird 22-year-old girl now being pacified with a possible date and relationship with a 13-year-old boy in Gon, who happens to be, by the way, a real ladies' man, and I don't know how to feel about that. But it does help to facilitate one of the best Killua moments in the entire series. The fight against this random Chimera Ant he encounters pushes Killua more than I think any moment in the series has pushed him. He is petrified, shaking, and seemingly not at all emotionally prepared for this encounter. And I love this scene for a multitude of reasons, but primarily I love it because the very love Killua has for his best friend in the world was what made him approach this enemy without any intel or preparation. And the shot of him shaking and crying honestly hit me like none other in this arc. But it's that history that they shared which allowed him to overcome this serious issue he had. I'm not sure yet what the transmitter in his brain's knock-on effects might be for the series or his brother or how he will react, but right now, Killua is an absolute monster.
Okay, so he did talk about it.
So he did talk about it and he just whatever did. Okay, that's even worse, kinda. Wow.
Brain's knock-on effects might be for the series or his brother or how he will react, but right now, Killua is an absolute monster.
So hold on, that shaking and crying should mean nothing to you now because it wasn't even Killua. Because as soon as in his brain,
as soon as he pulls it out, he's like, "All right, fight time." It's not his character.
So all the stuff he did before means almost nothing because the second he pulled it out, he went, "Oh, that wasn't me. This is me."
And then he wins with zero fear. And he just goes, I don't know what kind of long-lasting ramifications it's going to have, but I sure did love it because Killua was awesome. How about the fact that we are missing a character development arc? What would have changed if he just goes, yes, I'm scared, but no matter what, I gotta do it. And he always has that lingering doubt in his mind, but he still does it. As opposed to, now I can just do it because I reached in and pulled out a brain worm. You can't praise this as an anime analyst. Because you're missing out on content. This is something that comes out of nowhere. It was never established that any sort of... If he was talking with Hisoka just like, no, he's always going to run. Trust me. That'd be something. But he just goes, oh, crap.
He did say something along those lines. No, because I think that was after the fact. He would like, Killua removed his transmitter or something.
Yeah. It's insane that anybody could praise this.
It's pretty crazy.
Because he just presses a button and goes, I'm not going to be afraid anymore. Without changing his outlook on life at all.
Picture Zenitsu or Usopp doing that.
It'd be the worst thing.
Oh, I just stabbed myself in the shoulder and now I'm no longer afraid ever.
That's all that it took. That's not how you write things.
This is going to be fun, and okay, I know I hate to leave it here and break these arcs up like I have been, but with this one specifically, there's just too much to cover in this review alone. So, next week, I'll be back to continue this exceptional arc, and while I don't know what's still to come, I do know I am supremely excited to share my thoughts on it with you all next week. See you everyone, and thank you all so much for watching.
He goes he loves it, but why does he love it?
Because it's sublime. Because it's subversion.
Because you got that question of...
And, you know, everybody's ragging on Killua about not Gon's problems. And then, Killua's problems aren't really problems, but was he right? I mean, he ran away, and he does have problems, but he just hit himself in the forehead, and they all went away. And that's awesome.
Oh, my goodness. Mark is up there as one of the worst. At least other people are saying something. Some other people.
Okay, there you go.
I'm not talking about
some people
Cosmo
say too much.
or Mother's Basement. Eyepatch Wolf says stuff.
Nux doesn't.
Nux sometimes does, sometimes doesn't.
He says things that are wrong, which is markedly worse.
But that's something. How many times did he just go, I felt like none other. No other shonen is ever. Dumb, baseless crap like that when we know that he's only ran sub 20. It means nothing.
Dude.
This is the best piece of chicken I've ever had in my life.
How many of you had? Two?
Like 4? Oh, that's nothing. Man. Mark is really, really bad.
He's not good. Like the first time, the Anatomy of Fighting, I knew it was bad, but I'm like, he's a Dragon Ball fan. Of course it's going to be like blowing Dragon Ball. This is, with every passing video, I just like him less and less.
It's amazing.
I believe in him less and less.
I am really, really shocked.
How could it be that this is all you need to do to get to the level where he's at?
Because he's basically said nothing. Friendship. These two personalities. The beginning was slow and it contrasts with each other. Kite. What did he say? What did he say that would indicate some sort of love?
He got really excited when talking about certain things. And when I love it.
When they were in the cafe, he just goes, oh, it's great and nuanced and awesome and I love it. After the Killua running thing.
I explain constantly of why I love Carrot when people bring it up.
Yes.
Because it's always like, oh, furry bunny girl, big I'm like, no. She's an amazing character. And her trying to pacify Sanji while she's hurting more than anybody.
In the only way that she knows how to pacify people. Because she herself is pacified by it.
Truly great.
Tremendous. But this, I'm legit struggling to remember any of his arguments. Or anything why he particularly loves this.
He loves it because of the question of
who
was in the right of doing that.
Yep, that's
the subtle nobody talking about Gorn's problem, even though his problems might be even bigger than Killua's. That was one. Nod your head.
Yeah. No, sure,
okay.
Sure.
Okay, just making sure I'm getting this correct.
Yep.
Oh, the subversion of Gorn and the viewer from Kite being okay.
Okay.
The run of the mill monster movie aesthetic that started it out.
The fact the nodding. The fact that Pito, Gorn, Killua, and Kite all acted in character in that one moment.
Well, yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm really shocked because.
Are you?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, I probably should have
Yes,
watched
why?
one of them.
No. Even without
myself.
watching those things, why are you shocked?
Because you would think.
Based on what?
Based on what?
I remember this whole thing you had when I was like, I had hope for Oceanus. You were like, dude, why? And I had no answer for you. This is the same thing. Why would you expect anything of Mark?
It's an easy arc to praise.
Yes. And he's doing it in the way that people praise it.
But he's also doing it poorly.
Have you found somebody that does it fantastically?
I mean, not particularly, but again, him just going, I've never read something like this, or it's nothing like this in Hunter x Hunter. Those aren't critiques. Those are just statements. It means nothing.
Can I just say, I would love a review series by Proceed that was called Pros, Cons.
That'd be good.
Or Pro and Cons.
That'd be really
good. Yeah. Because I really want to do some type of series where I just talk about what I like and dislike about a show, manga, whatever. But I don't know how to name it. Mm-hmm. But I really want to do that because there are a lot of things I like in like Chimera Ant. But people know I hate the arc, but they don't know all the things I really like about it. And I want to get more of a positive look at the things we talk about negatively and a more negative look at the things we talk about positively. Because I don't like everything in One Piece. Of course, it's impossible. There's a lot of I do not like in One Piece. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I praise it up and down, and I think it's definitely my favorite story ever. I think it's the best long-running shonen ever. So, I love Demon Slayer, I would like to talk about. So, and I was just thinking about how I would talk about Chimera Ant right now. Because the way he's talking about it is with this flowery, like, subversion stuff. And I would go, like, the character of Knuckles. Even though I don't like Gorn's descent, the descent of Gorn was done well within the arc, even if I personally don't like it. Because I think it was a little too shoehorned. I'm just doing it now. I think it was a little too shoehorned in and a little too, like, pushy. Because he knows Kite, but it's Kite. Like, why are you giving away everything?
That's my biggest issue.
Yeah. If it was somebody else like Karapika or I can understand it more. But I understand the mechanics of it at least.
If he had even gone, instead of, oh, why'd you kill Kite? I need all my power at... If he had gone in his mind, she's going to kill me like she killed Kite. Mm-hmm. I need all the power that I will ever have.
If he just saw in his mind Killua getting killed by her, all the rest of them getting killed, all of his friends.
That'd be like, okay, done. That moment is not as bad.
If I don't stop you now, nobody will.
That moment is not as bad. Him going, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill that girl of blah, blah, blah. You just lost 3 minutes, crap like that. Kill that noise.
That's where my fanfiction comes in of Gorn is affected by Pito's energy and gets all negative, and it makes a lot more sense than to just go, dang, Gorn, you evil now. Yo, Dark, how? Yeah, this is trash.
This is really bad. I'm kind of disappointed how bad this was.
Really? Have you ever been disappointed?
What arguments did I want arguments, not this flowery bull crap.
But that's all Mark is.
I guess.
Like somebody in our Discord said, he picks up a thesaurus. He goes, da 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 da. The crescendo of the makes our heart swell and we leap for joy as it. No, we don't.
He's just
you got real excited about a moment and then you described it as if you had watched Shakespeare.
He's just really bad at this. I'm just very amazed because this is I was expecting better arguments for this.
There's no reason you should have.
They're less than 30 seconds on the mind thing. He could have easily just like, yo, this kind of trash. Yep. We're missing out on a character development. Mm-hmm. But he just didn't.
It kind of spits in the face of all the things Killua questioned about himself.
Yes.
And we questioned about Killua when he could just go into his mind and change all that. And it was never he himself, but this thing in his head that was making him like this.
What else did it change? Did it change his personality?
His powers?
How is he going to interact with Gorn now? We don't know any of these things. None of that was ever questioned. It was just, it's just a fear thing, and it was taken out. And Mark is just like, I don't know how this is going to affect things, but it sure is awesome that Killua was awesome. And he just brushes over the fact that they just getting in, the fact that Merylwen is just evil, the fact that all three of the guards are just amazingly strong, born with Nin and an amazing amount of Nin. These things are what holds this thing down.
Yes. They're strong just because they're strong. The king is evil just because he's evil. Now, I can understand if he was essentially a blank slate, yes, and the Royal Knights were like, hey, you gotta eat that, you gotta do this, and all this evil but he comes out and is just like, don't speak to me, worm, cut off penguin head.
Yeah.
So,
what
we're back at it next week. This is episode 44 or 45. I can't remember what I said in the beginning. And this will always be episode 45 until we end. Or 44 or 45. It will always be that until we end. So we'll put out the 2 parts for this. And then we'll put out when Mark continues, we'll continue. And it'll still be episode 45. Even if it takes him the rest of June, we're still putting out other videos for Revisited. Outside of this Mark stuff.
He's gotten the Togashi stuff out of the way. And hopefully no more sponsors eating up time. And some better arguments, hopefully.
Yeah, that last part, no, sir.
No, because we're starting to get into the meetup. But we're also getting into just a bunch of fights. He might start doubling up chapters or something.
We'll see.
But this was just really bad. I'm so disappointed in Mark for not even trying.
He tried. He just failed.
He didn't try.
He failed.
Don't tell me that an adult man tried here.
What didn't he try with?
What did he say?
A lot of flowery crap to praise it.
I guess so.
Yes. He tried his darndest to make this sound as good.
Is though? Is this all that all of his videos are? Just this.
Have we found one that isn't? Except one that series he might dislike, which I don't think he has on there. It's not like Mother's Basement with Sword Art Online Season 2. Does he have a video where he's like, yo, this series real bad?
I think he talks about
the last chapter of Attack on Titan, a series he loved? No, I'm not taking that.
He also really liked that. He talked about Dragon Ball Super.
Where?
Especially the tournament arc where he goes, yo.
Yeah, but that's universally that's derided. It's back and forth.
One Piece, One Piece, One Piece, One Piece, One Piece, One Piece. He talked about Jiren. It was something like Jiren, the boring antagonist or something. Jesus Christ, he has a Bakugo video.
Let's hear a little of it.
Bakugo Power versus Heart.
Oh yeah, let me just hear a smidge of that.
Storytelling that when a character undergoes a major personality shift. And one of the
I wish y'all could. He paused, cocked his head upward, and just rolled his eyes, and just stayed like that for like 4 seconds.
I feel so bad for the little anime analysts that are just getting no attention.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that probably deserve it.
When this bum is just
but here's the thing.
Around like this.
Here's the thing. Do they deserve it, or are they doing the things that an eye patch wolf and a Mark in a mother's basement is doing because that's all they've ever known from the anime YouTube community? So they're analyzing it in the exact same way because we've seen a lot of revisits of people that aren't the bigger names, and it sounds very similar to all the bigger names.
Or worse in some cases. Like that sleepy Hunter x Hunter dude. Flush.
So I can't say that.
I can say that there's probably somebody who's very small out there that's doing A+ work.
I would assume so because there's so many out there that there's got to be somebody that's even looking at like a mid-range shonen shows, just like here's the positives and the negatives of some mid-range like in Samurai 8 or something.
My biggest thing is that this dude is just getting attention for this level of work.
Why wouldn't you?
This was really bad. He said basically nothing.
This video went up, it was about 10 minutes after it went up that I had downloaded it. He had 500 thumbs up already.
Just for the fact that either he's Mark or he's talking about Hunter x Hunter, which people like.
Yeah. Have you seen our Hunter x Hunter videos, the thumbs down on them? Simply because it's Hunter x Hunter.
Alright, okay.
Oh, he's up to almost 7,000 now.
Yes. Play with me? These people are being told what they want to hear. And that's what they care about. We've seen in our own comments, people do not want discussion. They do not want dissenting opinions. They want to be told they're correct. And they want people to tell them just how correct and amazing the thing they love is. Or the thing they hate is.
These comments.
It's all blowing Hunter x Hunter, isn't it?
It's all blowing Hunter x Hunter and blowing Mark and...
It never stops, dude.
It never stops. The cycle continues.
The cycle
and
continues.
And nobody's listening. Like, yo, he's not even saying anything here.
It's a lot of fluff. It's like you asked for a sandwich and they brought you out 2 pieces of bread and you ate it and you went, what a delicious sandwich.
And just because they like Hunter x Hunter, so long as you're praising it, they're going to be like, yup.
While they're eating, he's just saying, hey, doesn't it taste so good? Isn't it so good? You're right, it's so good.
And people are just like, I like it, and Mark likes it, and Mark's talking about characterization, and and gone, and and just not even realizing that he is basically just got a cup of air and just pouring it into your cup. It's going, drink up. And you're
drinking
just like,
up monkeys.
Boy, I was so thirsty, thank goodness, and you just drink. And you just never stop drinking.
Why would you ever stop?
I cannot believe this.
That's the thing that shocks me, that you can't believe it.
I think
it's so believable.
I think the best in people. I'm always just like, yo, we farming people, yeah, sure. But what about that one time where it's like, yeah, that was kind of a good video.
Just stop. Got some good stuff there.
He just had that one time where he just acted so irrational. He's good. He's got some good stuff. It's pretty funny.
That Demon Slayer was good.
Hunter x Hunter. You watched Demon Slayer?
Yeah.
Good video, wasn't it?
It's good.
A lot of good points. Explained himself. A lot of times he wasn't just like, yo, the government, and moved on. Nah. Explained himself. But this heart singing, and I've never seen this before, it's terrible. I don't need this type of stuff. This stuff is very difficult to talk about. Because what can you say with him going, I've never seen a shonen do this before?
I can say you're a liar because you've seen many shonen that did it based off the reviews you've had before.
Sure that. Hunter x Hunter hasn't done things like this before. You can say that with any fight in any series. You can go, oh, it hasn't done anything like this before. It means nothing. You're just empty praising stuff so people like you. You can't not like this arc. Especially somebody like Mark. Especially a big boy like that. I got spaghetti to make.
Hey, there you go.
Oh my god,
I think I'm gonna I gotta finish uploading that One Piece. I think I'm gonna play my game today before I go get my vaccine.
Nobody asked.
But I'm telling you,
I don't care.
You don't care, so I subverted you.
Oh snap! That means it's good, so I do care.
Got him.
He's not wrong. Mark can't be wrong. Either it's a version or it's good because it didn't subvert and it's just good. Shut up.